Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trink Talks. My name is Valerie Cathwallen. I'm in New York City, and I'm joined by the co-founder and co-publisher, co-editor of Trink, Paula Sador, in Germany. And we have three very special guests with us today that we've really been excited about bringing together for a conversation. We have Erik and Carolin Riffel from Weingut Riffel, and we have Mason Washington, who is a certified specialist of wine and a digital media marketing specialist in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, so two very different worlds that have come together, and we're really excited to share their story with you. I think that just for housekeeping purposes, we will have our conversation, and any questions that you might have, please just drop them into the chat. We will bring them up at the end of the conversation. And without further ado, we'll just dig in and ask the first question. Erik and Carolin, can you tell us a bit about your estate, where it is in Germany exactly, how you both came to be there, how many hectares you have, what you grow, and what your sort of philosophy of wine growing and making is?
Yeah, first, hello to all. It's very nice that we can tell a little bit about our winery and our wine, especially with Mason. So we're very happy to meet you. Yes, where we are, directly in the middle of Germany, at the river Rhine and the river Nahe. So we are in one of the biggest regions, wine growing regions in Rheinhessen. And in Rheinhessen, we are in the north western part, so directly where the river Nahe goes in the river Rhine. So we have our mountain, it called the Bingen Rochusberg, and we have 18 hectares of vineyards there. It's a family winery. So my parents are still in working. My father was 83, is every day in the vineyard and help us very intense. And so we do all the job really with our family and a little bit with season workers. So yes, what we do 70% Riesling, and the rest is Burgundy grape varieties like Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Le Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. So that's our profession. We love Riesling, and in this region where we are, we have so the crossing together from a lot of wine regions, and in this region it was an old sandy beach from a big ocean before 400 million years, and so we have the quartzite stone over there with a lot of iron oxide, and that's very special, very special. You see it behind us. It's the stones from our vineyards. It's very special to produce very fine, very elegant, and yes, very intense Riesling. And so that is what we do most. And for that, I think we are speaking today.
Excellent. And just that was very comprehensive. Can you just tell us what your farming approach is? Conventional, organic, biodynamic?
Yes, we do so organic working since 2007, because we are looking for yes, what is the best solution to work with our vineyards, with the nature, and what is the best solution to make a very good, a very intense wine. And you have to know, I started in the winery in 91 with my parents, and then we have a lot of years. As we have a very small winery. I started in 91 with only 2 hectares of grapes, of vineyards. And my parents has a little bit fruits, 5 hectares of apples, cherries, and Mirabelle, and so on. And in 91, we said, okay, we want to stop with the fruit. We want to make only wine. And then I go in a long part of looking for the best areas of wine growing on our mountain. What is the most interesting part of our mountain, where I do the best wines. And yes, then when we notice, we make, I think, very good wines. To the year 2000, 2001, and we have of all our wines the gold medals from the Landwirtschaftskammer, and it was very nice. But we said, okay, it's very good what we do, but that's not the end. Yes, that's we have to do more, and then we are looking of our holiday trips. What is in other countries? Where are the really good wineries of the world and what they do? Why are they so really perfect in their wines? And yes, then we know very fast that they're all working organically and that they work all a little bit with biodynamic methods. And for that, we are more interested in this and looking more and more, make courses to learn about. We read a lot of books in this time. We speak a lot with other wineries to learn about this doing this organic working. And yes, and then you need first a lot of time to change the system in the vineyards, because it's not really easy. Yes, and we need around about 5 years to change this all. And yes, now we're in a situation where the whole nature works really good. And it's in a really good balance, and it's much better than before. And you can feel it when you are in the vineyards, and you can taste it and smell it when you drink the wines. They have more complexity. They are more interesting. They are more different fruits and mineralities. So it's much more complexity. And so yes, if you want to make a good wine, you have to work with the nature.
Great, thank you. Mason, can you jump in and tell us a little bit about your background?
I was in Raleigh, Durham when I first got into like my hospitality side. And my brother was a hospitality management major, and he worked at the Washington Dukin and Golf Club. And, you know, all of my plans kind of failed after high school, college, all that. So was just trying to find like another pivot. So started working in country clubs, hotels, all that good jazz. That's kind of how I got my start for wine. And, you know, for me as a kid, always grown up, like I hated honestly knowing everything. I felt like I knew everything. It was always trying to figure out what my next move was. So with wine, you can't do that. So it's like a constant learn all the time, which that's what kept me motivated to like go further in it. So went from, you know, climbing up the food and beverage management chain, being a somm and going through that little route, and then going into the retail route before I moved down to Georgia, and eventually kind of pivoted from the industry a little bit, but always wanted to have a focus on German wine. That kind of came around heavy, I'd say, like right before COVID hit, because I was trying to figure out like what I really wanted to do in wine rather than just drinking. So I, you know, started planning, but the German thing just kind of like rose to the top, because, you know, my side of the family, with my grandmother being German and born in Prenzlauer, my mom right outside of Berlin, and my uncle literally in Bad Kreuznach, which is not too far from the Riffels, which is cool. It allowed me to kind of like study in that path and learn more about, you know, my background along with German wine. And I've always been a Riesling fan. Whenever I got into wine, I was always drinking anything that was German. I mean, Liebfraumilch was kind of like my go-to. It was cheap and you could afford it and you could drink a lot of it, honestly. And just expanded from that. So now tying that back into me coming to Atlanta, I moved down here and then finally got some remote work and started working in the digital media marketing sphere. And just wanted to focus on my wine journey outside of work. So separating the two. And then luckily got a trip out to Germany and met them. Shout out to Stephen for that. And Avery's here, so Weingut Germany too. I couldn't have met Riffel without them, honestly.
Yeah, tell us maybe just a little bit more about that trip and how you three came together on it.
So it was in a short span. I literally moved down here about a month later. I got a call from Steven that was like, "Hey, can you make this happen in 2 weeks?"
Sorry, can I
And
just, who's Steven? Can you fill us in?
Steven was working for Weingut Germany at the time. So he was over the trip that brought us over there. And literally came back from where I was traveling from. My passport had got lost in USPS, so through the mail. So I had to contact them, rushed it down here, and everything came within a few days, and went out and met them. And so the trip was crazy. That was my first time going to Germany. And first time being on a long flight too. So I never flew 8 hours before. And then I'm going to all these wineries, and I'm not thinking to spit that much because I'm just like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. And every day is a hangover. So yeah, you're feeling the pain, and then you're getting. I'm a huge breakfast person, so getting used to the breakfast style. I was like, oh, I'm eating sandwiches for breakfast instead of like, cereal and all this other stuff. And it was quick and just like a turnaround. So you're going through multiple wineries every day. And I'm like, ugh. It got to the point where it was so bad to where I was like, I'm so sorry. I cannot taste any more wine. And me and that lady are so cool now. I love them. But meeting Riffel out there, I think it was closer to I think it was midday when we came by. And I was just amazed. I'm a huge Cabernet and Spätlese drinker. So, going through their wines, I love their dry wines, but I think for me, Riesling really shows in what Cabernet is produced, when Cabernet is produced. Because not everybody can make it too, especially with how climate's changing. A lot of them are starting to be Cabulezas. So going through their wines and drinking them, I was just astounded. And, those were honest. They were the best Pradacat wines I tasted on the trip. And we went to some VDP growers and all that good jazz. But I was, me, Amy, Brent, and Joe, we were just all sitting at the table and was like, wow, these wines are crazy, dude. Like, I've never tasted anything like this. And so we talked with Carolin, and, we found out that, they were not even in the States yet. And so how that even came about. So when I left, I met, can I go further in detail about that? Because that part's also good. So when I left there, I met Jenna through GWC from that trip because some of the partners on the trip had introduced me to her. So during COVID, things were still going on. We did some IG lives and media stuff together, and then I flew out to San Diego to go meet her. And so we're just having some drinks. We go to this little lunch spot, and she's like, hey, if you ever thought about having your own wine, like this is something we could potentially do. We work with growers out here. And I was like, oh yeah, it's going over my head because I'm just a 24-year-old kid at the time. I'm very iffy about how I trust people, man. So I took it with a grain of salt. And so when May came, I went back out to Germany on my trip that I built out with like Egon Mueller and all of Willie Schaefer and all of those. And then she called me and was like, you need to do this. And I was like, all right, what do you need from me? And so she was like, you find a grower that wants to attribute it to your heritage. I'll bring it over here. And so I went back home literally a week later, and I was driving, and I had two growers in mind, which one was Riffel, and one was one of my homies. I cannot remember the name. And so I called Riffel on the way home and literally pulled over on the side of the road and FaceTimed her. And I brought the idea to her attention. She didn't know I was going to ask anything like that. This was completely random with like no heads up. And she was just like, when can we start? Let me talk to Erik. And so 2 weeks later, she emails me back and was like, we have two vineyards that we could possibly do this from. We have the Charlottenburg, which, we produce Cabernet from, but also we have the Kirchberg, which hasn't been done yet. And so I was like, let's do the Kirchberg, because if it blows up, this is something that hasn't been done. We can expand on this, and, great things can happen. And then, so it was a gamble for sure. But it worked out, and it's a stellar wine. I love it. The acid, I'm a huge acid guy. I got to have it in my Rieslings, and just the way that site lies, it really allows the acid to rise, but also the ripeness to be there, so they counteract really well, and it's the balance is crazy. And now we're here.
That's fantastic. What a great story to start out. So you really just pulled over on the side of the road and called up. Carolyn, what was your reaction?
Well, we had this really, really great meeting during the harvest in 2021 when this small group of only 4 US sommeliers came, and it was such an intimate meeting, tasting the wines, and then we kept in contact, and then in May it was like, can we do this? Yes, why not? Let's talk about it. And it was, I just remember lots of iMessages. We as soon as I wrote, something came back, and then we had to FaceTime, and then we discussed how it would be and how we could do it, and so on. So it was a lot about communication. What are your ideas? What can we do? What is possible in our region? And so in May 2022, we decided to do it, and Mason got the okay from the GWC with the import. So that was perfect. And the idea was to produce the first one in 2022. So we started the journey in May.
I just want to say one thing about that too. So when I called her, there was no no hesitation. It was one of the nicest calls. And this was I was younger at the time, so like having someone that also believes in like what you're trying to do in the US and attribute that back to your family, it was huge for me because I don't really get close with a lot of people, honestly. Now it's better, but I was very like standoff, kind of very welcoming, but I'm only going to let you in so close. But for someone to have that belief in like what you want to do and your ideas, they treated me like family, man. Even when I went out there this past time, we literally had dinner together like multiple nights throughout the whole week.
The idea was good, and we talked in detail what a cabinet should be, and if it's okay, if more acidity, more sweetness, and Erik and Mason they fit really good together. So Mason trusted in what Erik is doing in the cellar, because he was in the US. He could not taste the wines. He could not taste from the cellar. So we went into the cellar, tasted the wines, and then we represented it by by FaceTime or by iMessage, how it is, how the development is going. And Erik did his best to produce the next one. So it was good. We could present the Scharlachberg to say how the soil is, how the style of the wine could be, because the Kirchberg is very, very similar to the Scharlachberg. It's also this quartzite soil. In the Scharlachberg, it's more red, more orange and yellow, and in the Kirchberg, it's more red. It was good to have an example which is very, very similar to the Kirchberg we produced. Maybe you can tell something else about Scharlachberg and Kirchberg and the
yes.
differences.
When we speak about the Riesling from Kirchberg, I thought yes, it's perhaps not so bad, because Scharlachberg, it's located to the south on our hill, and Kirchberg is located to the east. So Kirchberg is always 1 week, 1.5 weeks later in the ripeness than Scharlachberg. So for a cabinet quality, you need high acidity, you need not too much sugar, but you need also, yes, a little bit of physiological ripeness. And for that part, the Kirchberg was very interesting, because the east side means sun in the morning, not in the afternoon, and the east side means in our region, the vineyard looks directly to the river Rhein, and there to the very big bright valley of the Rhine. It looks to the city Mainz and Wiesbaden. And there we have a lot of winds. The winds come from the west and go in the valley, and so you have always very cool climates there. Yes, in the summer too, when you stay in the vineyard, you have always winds from the river, and so it's not so, the heat is not so standing and not so really intense. Yes, so the Riesling grapes in the Kirchberg are later and a little bit cooler, and they have more iron oxide from the soil. So the whole type, it's a little bit different than Scharlachberg. Scharlachberg is more the ripe, the yellow fruits, the intense wine. And Kirchberg is always a little bit more so spicy, a little bit cooler style. So set for cabinet, really a good area.
It also sounds like it fits together with Mason, with the way you were describing your personality. It sounds like here we have a bit, Kirchberg reflects that a little more than the Scharlachberg, which sort of brings me to something you were mentioning earlier, Erik, about your estate being at the intersection, really at the confluence of three major regions, yet needing to have its own identity. And the intersection and confluence, I think, is something that's really important, both for the estate, but also for this collaboration, for this project together. You know, there's a lot of intersections of winemaker and consumer, of different regions. What do you feel that you all three learned from each other? Erik and Carolin, you can go first, and then Mason, I'd love to hear from you as well. A collaboration is really this back and forth. So what did you learn from each other?
Well, I think that the first thing is communication is everything. So we kept up communicating about everything, if it's good or not. And we learned that we have to be very, very flexible.
Yes,
I think so. We had new ideas from Mason, which were a little bit different to our German thinking. So we had to be open-minded, getting another idea and then including a new product, which is, that was not the focus, to have new products on our list. So that was a good idea. And we love your enthusiasm. So
yes,
you went for that project, Mason. You wanted to have that wine. And however, if it would not have been Scharlachberg or Kirchberg, it has to be something else. So we had to go for that. So you taught us the idea of Kirchberg and thought this would be good. So we would not have a Kirchberg Cabinet in our portfolio if we wouldn't met you. And maybe
yes. And the interesting thing is, really, for me, I'm always focused on Scharlachberg, because Scharlachberg is our best Grand Cru what we have. Yes, we make our best wines there in the dry from the dry wines. But from the sweet wines, we make also very, very good wines like Spätlese, Auslese, Beerenauslese, Trockenbeerenauslese. We do all in Scharlachberg, and I'm so focused because I love this. Yes, it's for me always the best what I have. But for this very light and for this very, how would I say, with acidity cabinet, the Kirchberg is really perfect. Yes, and so it's a completely new idea what Mason gave me, and Carolin said, we said, okay, yes, it's true. It's a little bit cooler vineyard and it's a cooler area, so it's perfect for cabinet. And yes, we have now a lot of sommeliers and tasting persons in our wineries. They taste Kirchberg, and sometimes we have the feedback as it's like a cabinet from the Saar region. Yes, like what is the name? What he says? So the winery, it's like silicon. Yes, also it's from the Saar cabinet style. So really, really clear, very very fine, very elegant, and so this is not possible in Scharlachberg. In Scharlachberg is always a little bit more fruit, a little bit more yellow, a little bit more not opulent, but it's more present the taste. And in Kirchberg, it's more like in the Saar. It's more very straight and very cool and spicy, and that's very interesting for me to do this.
More mystery. How about you, Mason?
I would say the big thing I learned throughout this whole process was trust. And going through this whole process and kind of going in blindly because you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know how Mother Nature is gonna treat. And there was a time which it was a little shaky where we were waiting for ripeness to come up in 2022, and then it finally came up at the last minute. And so going through my head, mildly screaming on the inside, but just let it play its course. I knew Erik was phenomenal in the cellar, and I'll get into what we did for this previous harvest because it'll make more sense. But trusting his ability, and then finally, seeing it bottled, and then we're trying to get it over here, and then it gets stuck in customs, and then get it resent the second time, and then I finally try it, I think in June, and I was like, wow, waiting a whole year and some change was definitely worth it. Stressed out, but it was so worth it. So
that's what I noted as well. So maybe you learned from us to be very, very patient, right?
Yeah, and that's something I'm developing even within myself. I'm very fast and on everything because I feel like if I handle my part, it's out of my hands. Cool, I'm just gonna. But also, I gotta learn everything comes in time too. It's not always on your time, and so learning to just let some things play its course and just trust what they're doing. That I'd say trust was the biggest thing I learned last year for sure.
Yeah. But now you know how the harvest is like, and
yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. I will speak about that whenever y'all are ready, but y'all. Oh well, if you want to now, that's fine.
Go ahead.
So I go out there this past October for harvest. I actually came I think a week into it, and I was like, I'm thinking everything's gonna be great. Whatever, go through harvest, and I'm like, wow, this shit is actually tiring. It is tiring. But I'm seeing Erik and others work, and I'm like, y'all do this in y'all sleep, literally. And I'm like, I can't complain right now, but I am exhausted. And so the first day I come off the plane, and get picked up, and so I go meet Carolin, and she's like, hey, you want to come out to harvest with us? And I was like, I kind of been up for a minute, all right, I guess. And so I go from plane to working. She's like, how are you feeling afterwards? I'm like, I'm about to go to bed. I am so beat right now, and it was super hot because we were also trying to get the Chardonnay off before it started getting too hot. And it's a lot of work, a lot of selecting. In 2023, which they're going to be amazing wines, but selecting, I don't think people really understand. It takes a lot of time. It's not just snatching and burning, or you just can machine everything. For the Grand Cru wines and the powerful wines, you really got to cut the bad berries off and go through each line, and you could spend all day and literally get 1.5 bins or 2 bins, and you've been out there for 8 hours. It's a lot, though.
I just wanted to ask, how big is the Kirchberg, the parcel that you have?
It's 6,000 square meters. That's a little bit more than half a hectare, yeah.
Going through the Kirchberg for the first time too, because I didn't see the Kirchberg back in 2021, so I never saw the site until just October 2023. And then going through that and just seeing the way the Rhine River is facing at it, and walking up and down through the vineyards and seeing the super selection from it this past year, I was like, wow, people really don't understand what winemakers and harvesters go through. It's a lot to get these bottles the way they are when you sit to drink them. It's not just crush, everything's great. It's not. So me harvesting the Kirchberg with them, it was also an honor to see from fruit to cellar what that looks like, and going through that whole process, and actually being in the cellar some days with Erik just to see his process and what he goes through. And it's impressive. I would love for people to see what a winemaker really does from harvesting to cellar work. And sometimes they're working 18 to 20 hours a day. Legit. But it's impressive.
Talk a little bit about the winemaking for your specific bottling.
It's very easy. You need good grapes, and no, we start harvesting really in when the sugar is not too high. We have very intense acidity. Also, I prefer more than 10 gram of acidity, and the pH have to be lower than 2.9. Then it's perfect for cabinet. Yeah, and yes, and this year we have 2.8 pH and 10.6, I think, in the juice, the acidity. So it was really perfect with nearly 80 grad Öxle. So it was a perfect ripeness and a perfect acidity and pH for cabinet. Yes, and then the whole process is hand picking. Yes, selecting 100% only the good grapes. And then we have to look in the cellar that we can keep this acidity in the juice and the pH so low as it's possible. So for that we make a whole bunch pressing. It's the same procedure like if you want to make a champagne or a sparkling. So you don't need tannins and you don't need a higher pH. So we press the whole bunches and only 50% of the juice comes out, not more, because the rest, the pH grows up and then cabinet is damaged. So you have to look really for these steps. That's one of the
Most essential steps.
most essential steps in this wine production. And then after we do, we bring the juice in stainless steel tanks and make spontaneous fermentation, because cabinet needs something wild, and that you can get only with spontaneous fermentation. Yes, and then we stop the fermentation with around about 45 gram of sugar. And yes, let's stay the wine as long as it's possible on the full yeast. At the moment, the 23 is still on the full yeast. So we cool down the tank because the yeast gives the wine more balance. Yes, more reductive potential, and that is what we like in our cabinet wines.
Beautiful, perfect. How much did you make in the 22 vintage and in 23?
We produce in 22, we have nearly 2,500 bottles. And in 2023, it's nearly the same. It's a little bit more, I think. 2000, it will be 2,600, 2,700 bottles. Yeah. Okay. So it's not so the big production, but for that, very good.
Yeah. And is it only available in the US through Mason, or are you also selling it in?
No. It's also available in Germany and yes, for other countries too. Yeah, but Mason for the US market has a special etiquette. I don't know. You have shown a special label.
Yeah, thank you. There it is.
And our label our normal label is this. Yeah, that's the Riffel label, and that's a special Mason label.
Thank you.
So when I brought the idea to them, I've had my brand I've wanted to go, for quite some time. And they allowed me to have the full way with it, with their stuff on it too. But I know just based on the US market, what's going to attract very well. And people like art. People like things that'll pop out in your face to be like, oh, what's that bottle say? Just for me to pick it up. Now I got your attention. So LELIYG stands for Live Every Day Like It's Your Glass. I created it back when I was in college. And eventually it just took off. Now the front art label is literally my half sleeve that my tattoo artist drew. And so I literally sent a video of my arm to my friend because for him to draw it up on the computer, and I was able to get that handled. but yes, that's how that came about. And on the back of the label, it has, you know, my mom and grandmother's name for the German side of my heritage. But the good side is it is officially this year coming to the U.S. market stores. Me and GWC have decided also to focus on Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina to start. So restaurants, wine shops, you know, North Carolina's my hometown, so I know everything in the Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte area. So they're looking forward to getting that, but also Georgia, where I am now, looking forward to getting that as well, and then building out South Carolina to start, and then, you know, hopefully expanding on from years. But this will be the first official year in market, so it's progress from just an idea to getting it to now officially going to be in U.S. stores starting this fall.
That is very exciting.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Sorry.
It's a lot. I if I'd advise to anybody, like, if you have a passion, definitely go after it. It's never too big. It's just how much work do you want to put in to make something happen. And sometimes other people see the light in you to make it happen. And, you know, treat those people kindly, because if they see your vision or also want to invest in your vision when they don't have to, that means it's going to be bigger than what it is than you're thinking, honestly.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, it's such a beautiful story and really just super inspiring and thrilling that we can all taste it too. Maybe I'll just wrap up by asking you both where listeners can find you, follow you, and find your wines.
You can find us in Bingen in our winery. We have a lovely little shop where you can visit us during the week. And you can also, when you're not in Germany, follow us on the Instagram account. It's called Riffel Wine, very international. And in Germany, you can buy the wines through our small shop. It's a web shop. And then we are in some other European countries already. And in the US, we will be soon in those 3 states. So we are very happy to get the journey together with Mason and Jana, who is supporting us with the German wine collection. Yeah, so now it's up to you.
So yeah, as far as for socials go, LELIYG_wine, LELIYG_wine. But also as far as US stores, be patient till fall, but it will be in those 3 states. That is a guarantee. Definitely at least Georgia, North Carolina guaranteed, but yeah, for those 3 states, it'll be here starting in the fall.
Okay, terrific.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you all so much for your time, for sharing your experience and story. Thank you to all who've tuned in today, and we will be back next month with our next installment with a guest to be announced, but we look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Thank you all so much for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.